Just getting ready to do some work in my car, and I want to cover a couple of things first before I get started, and that is around safety. Just please be very careful when you're working on a car, especially, you know, there's just lots of areas that can cause problems. One thing you want to make sure is, you know, never depend upon your jack to hold up a vehicle. Get you some jack stands. Get you a wheel chock to hold the front and the back tires. I use one. You know, if you want to use multiple, that's certainly area for safety. You know, hearing protection, especially if you certainly want eye protection as well at all times, and gloves. I use these nitrate throwaways, and I'll usually put another pair on with them just to. Hi, all right, getting ready to do some rear suspension work on my 2005 Honda Element. Going to be replacing the shock tower assembly. I know you can just replace the shock if you want to, but you've got to, I don't want to screw around with trying to compress these damn springs and getting them right and not killing myself. So I am not a mechanic. I'm a person just trying to save some money. So it's easier for me to just replace them all. Got them at a really good deal from Detroit Axle. So I hope they work out good. And on the front, when I did this, I actually put Monroe on the front just because you got so much more weight on the front of the car. So hopefully these will do fine on the back. While I'm in there, I'm going to be replacing the stabilizer links as well, and those also came from Detroit Axle. And then I'm going to replace the rubber bushing on the stabilizer bar itself. So, you know, just some maintenance items. I got a little bit of noise coming out of the right side suspension. Well, quite a bit of noise coming out of the right side suspension, and I've tracked it down to this unit here. Probably one of the bushings here is probably gone, kind of thing. And it does have an awful lot of bounce in the back these days. And like I say, 150,000 miles, 12 years old, so it won't hurt it, I don't think. Although the story thing won't hurt it. All right, so I am by myself, and so what I do is I kind of tell you what I'm going to do. I go do it, and I'll show you progress along the way while I'm doing it. I don't do it I don't film it while I'm actually doing it, because I don't want the camera jumping all over everywhere. Some people don't like that, and if you don't want those, I apologize. But if I have any problems, I'll certainly be sure and note that before I move on. Okay, so let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is take the wheel off. Haven't got it jacked up yet. I'm going to make sure and see if I can get the lug nuts broken loose, because if it won't, then I'll have to break them loose before I get it jacked up. And then wheel shocks on the front, safety things, think that wheel shocks on the front. I'll jack it up, and then I'll use my jack stands to hold it up. I do not want to rely on the jack to hold it. And then we'll start peeling this onion back and see how difficult this is going to be. All right, more later. Okay, so I've got the wheel off, and get to this tower here. You know, there's a bolt down at the bottom. So I was getting ready to work on that. Then I realized, you know, there's not a lot of room in here to get to that bolt, especially on the left, the nut side. The bolt head side's a little bit more. So I thought, well, since I'm doing a stabilizer links replacement as well, I'll just go ahead and take those out, because they're sort of in the way and that'll free up a little bit of space. So that's what I'm going to work on. And then here is that rubber bushing on the stabilizer link itself that I'll be replacing as well. So that'll have to take these both off. This particular bushing is split in half right here, so you can see it right there where it's split, hopefully, right there. And then pull this little thing off here, the little holder on, and then you just take this off and put the new one on. The front one's probably not going to be quite as easy. I don't think it splits. I think I'm going to take everything off so I can get down here and run the bushing that away, but that'll be a whole nother video. So anyway, I wanted to show you on these stabilizer links real quick. If you can see right there, there's a little bit of a, I don't know what you call those things, a hex opening, I guess, nut, and then a bolt on it. And what the purpose is, when you start trying to get that bolt off, that whole thing is going to turn. The nut inside is going to turn. So what you've got to do is you know, get something to hold, that you can put in there to hold that bolt
while you unscrew that nut, kind of thing. And what I am using is a little, and I'm sure there's multiple ways of doing it, other ways of doing it, but this happens to be what I'm using, is one of these little tools that has a pass-through on it. So I can slide him on first. Let's see if I can do this without making too much of a mess here. So I slide him on first like that. Okay. And then I come in with my little hex tool to hold that, put in like that. That lets me use the nut and hold that too. So anyway, I wanted you to see that. That's how I do it. I have also taken these things off by putting a vice grip on this nut, on this bolt, just on the end of it, and use just a box and wrench kind of thing to take them off. So that'll work as well. I have also nearly cut the damn things off, but I couldn't get them off. So lots of options to you. Just don't fret if you're sitting there turning and nothing happens. Also, I spray these down with some liquid rinse, PV blaster, whatever you want to call it. So I sprayed all the other bolts down as well, just to help things coming off there. It's got a lot of rust on it. All right, alrighty, I wanted to show you this if I can get my line out of the way. All right, so this is what you got on this back side of this, whatever this thing is. Back knuckle here, back side, where we're holding the knuckle on. Anyway, down here, right where the end of my finger, you'll see a nut. Well, that nut, thank God, stays on the bracket, so you don't have to worry about getting anything on this side. And if you did, that suckered around, so you probably wouldn't be able to get anything on it anyway. So all you got to do is get on the that's a 17 millimeter nut bolt right there, and I'm using my air. So instead of sitting you listening to hear all that crap, that's what I'm doing, and I wanted you to see that. I had to. My air tools aren't the best in the world. Okay, the next thing you got to do is get to the top of the tower case. So you're going to unbolt that from the car. You got to do that from inside the car. So what you got to do is remove the seat. So if you don't know, hopefully you got your owner's manual that tells you how to do that. But if not, it's kind of one of those Mexican fire drill things. You know, you got to pull this, push that, stand on your head and turn around 3 times, and hopefully it all works. But anyway, what you would have to do is this strap here, the yellow strap. Hope you can see it's still attached on that one. You pull that, and that unlocks this piece that's locked into here. So that gets unlocked. The next thing you do, there's a cover here. So this cover has to come off. This is on the side, just like that one's still over there, and you just pull it off like that. Okay, I'll show you on this one. Might be a little easier for you. And then there's a lever here that has to be unlocked. So you push that guy down, that unlocks that. Then you grab this handle here with one hand, and over here there's another little deal here. You put your hand under there, and you have to get in here on your knees because you can't pull it forward. It's not going to come forward. It won't release this on the front end of this thing. So you got to pull it straight up and then out. That's how you have to get it out. So pull the yellow lever, push that down, get in here with it on your hands and knees in front of it. One hand on this strap, one hand over here. This has to be down. Pull up and then lay it back. And then once you get that done, then there's a little plastic cover, and voila, there is the top of our tower case. And these 2 little bolts here, nuts, excuse me, on each side have to come out, and then it should just slide right out the bottom. So we'll, sorry about that, we'll see. All right, so I'm glad I'm working on the driver's side first, to let you know. So everything is out of here, it's ready to come out. So what has to happen now is I'll knock that away to get out, since the knuckle's not going to come this direction. So on the passenger side, you have the what do they call this thing, evaporator or something or another. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it's got 2 little bolts in it, one there and one down that way. Take those out, and that we'll let this, and we're going to let's slide this thing down a little bit out of our way, just enough so that we can swing this tower cage that way. On the passenger side, you won't have that problem because it's not there. It should just swing right out over there. All right, just wanted you to see that. All right, so when I got the bolts out of the evaporator canister, this thing just dropped down a little bit, so it's still connected on that side. And then what I did is I just took a hammer and tapped this guy out. Okay. So voila. Oh, sorry. Hope you can see that. It is, maybe not. Maybe the camera wrong way. But anyway, it's out of there. So now all we got to do is just put it back in exactly the same way it came out. All right, I want to show you this part before we put this thing back in. There is an inside and an outside part. On this one, it's marked with a little bitty dot, like right there. All right, so that's the that one goes toward the inside of the car. So that's be sure you pay attention to that. I tried to look on the other one, being a Honda, to see if they marked it with something more clear. Could not tell anything. It's like it's pretty well worn out if there was anything there. So anyway, just wanted you to note that, and then we'll talk a little bit about the torquing of the screws on this. The ones at the top up here, they'll get like they go 54 pound. The guy at the bottom, he goes 69 pounds, and the stabilizer bar link that we removed as well, the new one, they go 29 pounds, and then the little clamp that holds on the rubber grommet there, he'll go 16 pounds. So, and things for that evaporator, that's just tighten it. You know, don't put a whole lot on that way. Very small screws, not a lot of weight there. It's plastic anyway. So here's a little trick I've learned on some other cars I've worked on doing this. It's impossible to hold this thing here and put the nuts in at the top, which is where you got to start. I'm shooting the both at the top. So what I do is get it lined up and head it in the right direction, and then I get my jack. Let's see if you can see that or not. But anyway, I just get my jack up under it here and just jack it up to hold it. So it's going to hold it up there for me, so I can put my nuts on and just loosely tighten them up on top. You don't want to tighten anything tight right now. So we're going to get those in loosely. Then we'll come back down here and get this one in, and tighten it up a little bit loosely, and then we'll work on tightening everything up. All right, got the bolts in now. This part I was about an inch off to getting that in. So what I did is I put a breaker bar on here, and then I just kind of put some pressure on it, some weight on it, to push it down, kind of thing. And so that's what I did to get it in line. So everything's looking good. And what I'm getting ready to do now is to finish tightening the bolts. And I wanted to show you this. And what you do here is, right now with the weight off, the suspension naturally is down because there's no weight on it. What you want to do, you don't want to tighten all the bolts at that point, because then when the car weights come down, it's going to put it's going to put a lot of stress on those bolts, because the thing is not where it's going to be normally. So what you want to do is jack up the suspension, get it, put some weight on it, if you will, so that the car weight is on the suspension, jack it up quite a bit. You know, not real high, but like it would be sitting potentially normally. And then once you get it there, then tighten the bolts back, okay? And that's what you would do for any of these connections that have anything to do where anything's connecting, bolting onto the frame. You want to get those, especially if they got rubber grommets in them like these do. If it gets there in a bind, and then when that weight comes down on it, it's going to twist that rubber grommet inside and eventually cause it to break and wear out prematurely. So that's what you want. That's what I'm getting ready to do. So I just wanted you to see that. All right, am I removing the brackets that hold on the the little rubber spacer here for the sway bar. I think it was okay to start with, but you know, I got new ones, so we're gonna put them on there. Pretty simple. Little, I think it's 12 millimeter two bolts come out. Pry the little bracket off. And then it just comes in halves, and you just pull it off. Voila. So yeah, I think it was okay. It's a little just deformed, so it's not going to hurt replacing it, but you know, what the heck. So that's all there is to that. And these guys, I was trying to remember, look here, I think I wrote down what the I think that's a 16 pound possibly it holds that on. So they're not on very tightly. So anyway, about 16. All right. So that's it, and that completes all the things I was going to do. At least on one side, I got a whole other side to do here shortly. But again, remember when you're putting on these links, you may probably will have to hold that nut tight when you screw hold that screw part tight when you put the bolt on. I haven't looked at these particular ones. Some of them come with a don't even know what I did with them now. Some of them come with a it's the same way. It's got the little hex still in it. Some of them will have a fitting, you know, a square end with that you can grab a hold of with some channel locks or something, or some vice grips to hold it. But this one looks like it actually got a star inside, where the Honda one had a that square shaped hex look. All right, and anyway, that completes that, and I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much.